ships, meat ships, meat ships, meat ships, meat ships, meat ships. Meat ships, or biological spacecraft, are going to be added in Biogenesis. Yeah, finally. You know, we had the Praetorians back in 1.0, which were kind of like meat ships, but technically they were just normal ships with a bit of a skin on top of them. And on top of that, later on during the Joys, that was Grand Archive, we got the space creatures, which was more of a Beastmaster-esque situation. But now, finally, in Biogenesis and 4.0, we're going to have meat ships, pure organic spacecraft. And I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be pretty cool. So, what are these meat ships? Well, first of all, you don't think about them like corvettes or frigates or anything along those lines. There's 4 of them. And every single one of them has a growth stage of 3. So basically what happens is that you've got... The best way to explain it is you start out with Charmander, then you go to Charmeleon, and then it evolves into Charizard. That's kind of the situation that we got going on here with the quote-unquote growth stages. Anyway, the biological ships, they also include star bases, they also have mega structures and other stations, and everything is made out of meat. Yeah, everything's made out of meat. I'm looking forward to see megastructures made out of meat. Those endless tendrils going down to the planet and converting all the biomass on the surface into more meat for the swarm. But yeah, they also, have food upkeep. So expect to have quite a lot of food production going on there in order to upkeep things. This is something that was kind of played with hive minds previously, specifically like some of the mods did a really good job of this stuff, and it was really cool. However, now they're just taking it to the nth degree, which is really cool. It also means that ships, so if we go to technology right now, so ships are usually built under the Voidcraft category. This is going to change. If you are playing with the meat ships, you will be able to get them through the biology this setup. So instead of having Voidcraft, you're going to go with biology instead, which is really cool. It kind of, it changes your needs for leaders and all that stuff as well. But I talked about stages, they grow. Unlike the space creatures from Grand Archive, you don't need the vivarium or anything along those lines. No, space creatures will, or meat ships will grow into larger versions of themselves slowly over time. There's kind of similar stuff like that in the game at the moment with Bubbles, or the Lost Space Amoeba, which grows from a small one into a medium one, and if you keep it for 100 years, it turns into a gigantic one. They're kind of going down that route with this. So basically, you will have to use a growth process module. So if we go to our ships, for instance, here, they will have a special thing, a gland, which will increase growth, or you can keep it in a growth chamber on your spaceship, so space station even. So you can dock your organic ship and put them in a gestation pod in order to make them grow, or build them straight into their max version if you have the right sort of level of technology, so you can just sphincter them out straight into space. If you're familiar with any of the sort of stuff from the Swarm from, I don't know, 40K or StarCraft, gotta think like that. But yeah, the growth chambers are of course there, and it's good. It's a good example. This is the new Weaver class. They eat all their vegetables as they go through all their tiers, which is really cool. So let's talk about the classes themselves. There's the Maulers, the Weavers, the Harbingers, and finally the Stingers, each with their own growth stage. Now the Maulers are not twins. They are short-range melee ships that eat armor. They are your classic om-nom-nom frigates. They will try to go in close point-blank range, latch themselves onto an enemy ship, and then use their corrosive weapons to eat through the hull. Yeah, we literally have lamprey ships. Isn't that cool? And they also function similar to like the torpedo systems from the space submarines, the space frigates. With the larger the target, the more damage they do. So the scaling is kind of similar to the torpedoes that they have. So kind of applying an older system there, which is cool, Can't wait to deploy a whole swarm of these onto an unsuspecting batch of battleships, because they also have decent evasion. They are fairly quick, and you want to close that gap real quickly there. Then there is on the cruiser variant. It's not really fair to call them the cruiser variant. What it is it's like a middle ground between a cruiser and a destroyer. These are the Weavers. They're support ships. They have loads of point defense slots, and those point defense slots don't just shoot things down. No, they are Smeat priests. Yeah, they use their weapons to spit little things onto other ships to give them buffs. Yeah, to make your allies shoot faster or make the enemy shoot less fast. It's great. It's space priests. It's awesome. They're made out of meat, which is fine, I guess, but it's completely unique. I don't think there's any sort of other thing in the game beyond like the aura system that we have for the Titans, or we used to have for the battleships anyway. But very cool to see this. I'm really looking forward to see how this is going to develop and whether or not it's going to lead into anything else in the future. But I do hope they keep it unique to the meat ships themselves in order to give a bit of variety. I think the biggest problem the game has is that it tries to let everybody have a taste of everything, rather than, okay, cool, the meat ships are unique and there's nothing else in the game that plays anything like it. Like the whole asymmetrical warfare thing, which I think is really, really cool. Then the Harbingers, they're meat carriers. Endless swarms of strike craft. The strike craft are a little bit weaker than their cold, empty, emotionless metal compatriots that the other species build. However, there is a lot more of them. Like, look at all these high slots. They're completely filled with strike craft, and every single one of these will crap out spy craft like crazy. If you remember Ender's Game, that movie we don't talk about because it has nothing to do with the actual book, there's a scene in there where there's just strike craft everywhere, and yeah, imagine that. So they're all about long range, overwhelming the enemy. I love it. This in combination with the corrosive hull eaters, yeah, this should be quite interesting. Finally, there is the Stingers, which is kind of a middle ground between battleships and Titans. Why bad between battleships and Titans? Well, how does 8 XL slots sound? Yeah, battleships normally only have one. These days, back in the day, you could have disco ships and there were like 8 of them. But Stingers have 8 of them as well. Yeah, would you like the ultimate firepower? Yeah, that's it. They're giant ships that will just crap stuff all over the enemy. There's also not a real indication what the expense of these is going to be like compared to normal ships, so we'll have to do the math over this. But yeah, as mentioned, you can build all of these in the different versions. Will grow slowly over time. So basically you build 3 variants of every single ship, or at least you design 3 variants of every single ship, and with every single stage they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they slowly over time grow into it. So it's actually really important to keep your ships alive, okay? So I'm sure that there's going to be some sort of achievement to keep your ship alive from the start of the game all the way to the end of the game, or something along those lines. But yeah, meat ships, Weavers in particular, are very interesting. I really like the concept of space support ships and just spitting bonuses and malices onto the enemy. And of course the Maulers being able to just eat other ships. That's cool. Yeah, it's all about adding more biomass to your biomass. I really do wonder, however, whether or not the ships will grow as a sort of... It does feel like a veterancy system, but I wonder whether or not they will have bonuses for consuming other ships, or consuming whole biospheres, because I think there's like the devouring swarm approach does seem very cool here, and I do think the devouring swarms together with bioships, just to eat all the biomass inside of a star system, could be really, really cool. So we'll see. But yeah, meat ships, start chanting that down in the chat below. In the meantime, if this is something that you feel that is interesting, this is part of Biogenesis, it's part of the season pass. If you want to support the channel, you have the opportunity to buy the whole season pass on the Paradox store. You can use my affiliate link there. I get kickbacks from that, supports the channel, and basically bypasses the percentage of whatever Steam is charging these days. And that money goes straight towards me and Paradox in order to make sure they can build more meat ships in the future. You can find the link for this down in the description below, so make sure you go and check that out. Season 9 looks really cool as well, like the whole the Biogenesis side of things, the Shroud stuff, the Infernals. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. Go and check out this last video that I've got rolling here. In the meantime, though, we're going to go wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and of course, meat ships, meat ships, meat ships.